In this video, I wanted to take a look back at every game I played in 2024, and it's a decent lineup of games, so I'll try not to waffle on every single one, especially replays. Anything I've played before in the past, like the first game on this list, Shredder's Revenge. Now, I love this game. It's hands down my favorite beat 'em up and probably my most replayable game. And as things stand right now, this is my game of the year 2022. It's just very easy to jump into this one, and the same can't be said for Cuphead, which I beat next. I played a decent amount of this game with my sister, although I ended up finishing most levels solo as her temperament for difficulty isn't as strong as mine, which is already not super strong to be honest. I did feel proud of myself upon rolling credits on this game, but it never truly justified or trumped the frustration I felt on certain bosses. Mad Max was the third game I beat, and I really liked this one. It helps that I'm already a massive Mad Max fan, and Fury Road is amongst one of my favourite films ever made. This game had a really satisfying approach to progression both technically and visually, and also the hand-to-hand free flow and vehicle combat present here made for a genuinely great time for the first 15 to 20 hours or so. The game started to wear on me a bit in the latter stages, but not enough to deduct any major points. Mini Ninjas I received as a gift and I played it and it was fine. I'm sure I'd love this game if I played it as a child, but I don't have that nostalgia attached to it, so the experience was just a constant okay. Wolfenstein Youngblood I'd been putting off for a while, but eventually the itch became unbearable and my desire to inflict harm onto a Nazi army consumed me. Now, I didn't hate this game, but I wish it wasn't a full-blown entry in the alt history saga. It just doesn't hold a candle to the previous three. The levels are repetitive and recycled, and the characters aren't as enjoyable, and the RPG elements would have made for a cool DLC game mode, but instead we got a full game of it, and I just hope Wolfenstein 3 is a true return to form. Crash 3 is basically just more Crash 2, but with maybe some inferior level design, especially those motorbike levels, but I had fun with this one. I've enjoyed working my way through the Crash series, and hopefully next year I can cross CTR in about time off my backlog also. Dead Rising I didn't really like very much in the game's opening hours, and I was still trying to figure everything out, especially with the jarring AI with the survivors, and I ended up dying a lot and lost a lot of people, but once it clicked for me, this was an experience for the ages. I was all about playing it the right way and the right mentality, finding the fun, you know. The game really doesn't hold your hand in my opinion, which just meant I had to work with it a bit more, but it paid off big time. I ultimately ended up loving this title. Not as much as I love Transformers Devastation though, a short game but at a constant high point with some super satisfying melee combat in this love letter to G1 Transformers. Speaking of Transformers, you'll see a few more of them on this list. Killer Instinct is a dope fighting game, and I didn't get super invested in KA like I have some other fighting games in the past, but I dug what I played here, and you know, this game's a good time and those combos are truly ridiculous, so yeah. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a controversial title, and I still had a lot of fun playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but it's bittersweet. Check out my video on it. Resident Evil 0 I also had a lot of fun with. It's pretty much just another RE game but with some tedious item management and enemies more jarring than usual. This is my last classic playing RE title, and honestly I won't miss the fixed camera angles or the ink ribbons as I continue to work my way through this series. After that I beat Unravel 2 on Valentine's Day with my girlfriend, very romantic, and I actually own Unravel 1 but I'm yet to finish that game. I put it down years ago and never came back to it. Maybe 2025. Fallout 4 came next, and I really liked Fallout 4. I got quite consumed by this game, and it's annoying because I genuinely believe there's a right and wrong way to play these Fallout games. With 3 I kinda just streamlined the main quest, and after a certain point upon completion I felt no desire to stay in the capital wasteland, so I stopped playing. But with New Vegas I would kinda go wherever the wind took me, juggling a healthy balance of side quests and the odd main quest every now and then, and this way you get really pulled into the world and don't end up missing a bunch of awesome content like I did with 3 on my first playthrough. But yeah, Fallout 4's good. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is the third game I've played in my current run of the AC franchise, and at its core the gameplay is probably the best yet, and the story might be a step down from 2, but the way you can train up an army of assassins after recruiting them is so cool, and I really felt like the world was smaller in Brotherhood, which I actually liked a lot, although I am dreading playing some of the later games on this franchise, but we move. Next was a replay of Gears of War, and I got a bit caught up in the E-Day hype and decided to replay the first Gears title but in its standard form instead of the Ultimate Edition, which I'd played prior. Gears of War's a great game. So is Orcs Must Die 2, and I don't know if I ultimately ended up enjoying this one more than the first game, but I didn't enjoy the levels as much at first, but they really started to hit their stride, especially once you start getting those upgrades, and the late game here was nail-bitingly good, like very intense, and I just love these more casual, fun tower defense titles. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean was played next, and this was my only Lego game for the year, and I was doing a Pirates movie marathon at the time, so playing this alongside made for a nice contrast. Fun Lego game, but not the best. Banjo Kazooie started off strong for me, but nosedived into an abyss during its second half, stuff, and I didn't even find those levels enjoyable in the slightest, and honestly I was just glad when this game ended. I don't have much enthusiasm for the sequel. I actually started Avatar Frontiers of Pandora way earlier on in the year, but I had to put it down for a bit. I was enjoying it, but I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for this type of game, and upon return I found myself enjoying the titles so much more. Getting a lot of stuff done and making good progress with ease, and the game's second half really ramps up too, and that finale was quite epic. I really like Avatar, but not as much as I like Control. This game was masterful, truly a blast to play and experience. Like, the visuals are A1, but it's really how this game made me feel like a superhero, whilst also feeling like I was in an episode of Twin Peaks. With its unique narrative structure that done it for me. I really need to hop on that Alan Wake train because these guys at Remedy are not messing about. Control, fire. Scott Pilgrim, made by my friends over at the Shredder's Revenge dev team, I believe, with an IP I hold very near and dear to my heart. They did not cook, and I know a lot of people love this game, but again, it's the difficulty. Even on the easiest mode, I needed to grind levels, to buy upgrades, to be able to play the game how I felt like it should have played from the jump. And even still, I had trouble with this. Maybe I'm just trash, I don't know, but I wasn't feeling this one too tough. Thankfully, Wolf of Cybertron was probably the best game I played all year. I really wish I got to experience this game in its prime on the 360, because this is a masterpiece of a video game. For me, this is everything I love about gaming, captured and embodied through one of my all-time favourite franchises, and this game really helped me realise that Transformers for me is at its peak and most enjoyable when the story is simply a war story. And its sequel is deserving of just as much praise. Fall of Cybertron I had to play straight after rolling credits on War, and now I find myself longing for a new Transformers title in this vein whilst avoiding Darkspark like the plague. Please reactivate, you're my only hope. Gotham Knights is a perfectly fine game. It made me really miss the Arkham series a lot more than anything, which you'll clock with some of these other listings. Not much to say on this one other than I had fun, and I can genuinely appreciate the direction they wanted to take this game in, even if the execution could have been a lot better. First Hand is basically a VR tech demo, and I had fun with it. Kind of made me feel like Iron Man. Also, VR Population 1, basically a first-person battle royale, very Fortnite inspired and surprisingly a lot of fun. You know, this game's got a nice aura to it. Check out my video on VR too, by the way. Xcom Enemy Unknown, like, I really liked this one. You know, some minor technical issues might hold it back a bit, but at its core, this is a super solid tactical time-based alien shooter invasion game. Big War of the Worlds vibes here, you know? Xcom 2 should be getting played sometime in 2025. Spooky season came, and with it, First Encounter Assault Recon, or Fear. I can't believe this game came out in 2005 because the enemy AI in this game is weirdly good. It made every gunfight feel like an actual fight, and I'm really looking forward to checking out Fear 2 come next October. Then my real VR debut, Arkham Shadow. At long last, my Arkham itch has been scratched, and in a VR game of all places. This game honestly had no right being this solid, and sadly many will write it off for the sheer fact that it is a VR title, but Arkham Shadow is a phenomenal game, and dare I say better than some of the more traditional Arkham titles. Resident Evil 2 Remake concluded spooky season for me, and with a bang too. This is easily the best Resident Evil I've played yet. In fact, it's the only entry upon completion I instantly booted up to play again. It's easily up there with Dead Space and the Evil of Infamy, no doubt, you know, RE2's fire. And yes, I had to replay Arkham Asylum just to be 100% sure that I preferred Shadow, and that's no small feat because Arkham Asylum is a classic. I picked up BAM for VR during the Black Friday sale, and this game was a lot of fun, although maybe a bit bare bones once the novelty wore off. It's just kind of like a mixed reality BattleBot arena game. A little campaign can go a long way. Marvel Rivals came out this year, and I didn't love this game to be honest, but I had a lot of fun with it during its launch period, knowing full well that I would drop it in a few weeks' time, which I did. Around this time in the year, my laptop actually broke, so I had to buy a new PC, and with it came a free Game Pass subscription for a month, which I always like to use to play titles that I maybe wasn't planning on buying, but kind of wanted to check out, like Hellblade 2, which I feel like got a bad rap at launch, to be honest. I actually really enjoyed what I played here, and I feel like a lot of folks let their expectations get the better of them with this one, and it is largely more of the same, and it's not the standard gaming experience, sure, but Hellblade to me was always about visually stunning, interactive narrative packages, and I really liked it here. A Way Out I played with my sister and we both loved It Takes Two, and this game did not disappoint. It was definitely less gameplay centric and more story focused, but that worked in this game's favour greatly. Me and my sister nearly had a physical fight after that ending. Not the expected co-op gaming setup in terms of how the game plays moment to moment, but I appreciate the change, and you can still see the foundation of It Takes Two here in bursts. Can't wait for Split Fiction, by the way. Ghostwire Tokyo, another Game Pass title I decided to check out. I'm actually a big fan of Tango Gameworks, and the Evil Within games are all-time favourites of mine, Wolfenstein, and I recall being extremely excited for Ghostwire Tokyo, and that was until the gameplay reveal, where it felt like there was a drastic tonal shift in the game, and it had delays, directors left, and it wasn't really a horror like we expected. And upon playing, it's definitely a good game, but that's about it. A forgettable game, but in the moment as I was playing it, I didn't really have any complaints, except it just didn't wow me. Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is a light-hearted collectathon, which actually made for a pretty good podcast game, and I would love for this game to basically just feel like an episode of Spongebob the way Stick of Truth felt like an episode of South Park. But for what it is, I had a decent time with this remastered classic. Finally, my replay of Batman Arkham Origins will conclude this list as a nice festive end to 2024, although I had already beaten Origins. I had never played the Cold Cold Heart DLC, which was a nice little addition. I do like this game a lot, but I don't love it the way I do other Arkham entries. Although upon replay, I feel that Arkham Shadow retroactively made this a more enjoyable game for me. Big Batman vibes this year overall. I think I'm going to do a quick tier list of all these games for you, and I have a few other titles I'm working through as I'm making this video right now, so those will probably end up on a Tales from the Backlog part 2 or something to that effect down the line, and there you go. These titles were absolutely the standouts for me this year, and I'm very much looking forward to gaming in 2025. Thanks for watching. This concludes Season 1, so please like, subscribe, and let me know what games you played in 2024. This is the Game Burrow. See ya. Quick insight. I actually, whilst writing and recording this video, ended up beating Star Wars Republic Commando, so that's technically the last game I've played this year. Probably. Assuming I don't beat any more games. But I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't the best game ever. A bit clunky, bit dated, but foundationally it was a good time. One of the better Star Wars games for sure.